space was supposed to be silent. Commander Nathan Hale had spent most of his adult life among the stars, and in all those years, he had grown used to the kind of silence that came with deep space patrols: quiet, steady, predictable. But tonight, the silence felt wrong. It was too still, too absolute. Even the low hum of the USS Horizon's reactors sounded subdued, as though the ship itself sensed something was coming. Hale stood alone on the forward observation deck, his reflection caught faintly in the transparent viewport. Beyond him, the Perseus arm stretched into infinity, a sea of stars scattered like cold, distant lanterns. The red dwarf they orbited burned dim and steady, its light painting the interior in a faint blood-orange glow. He wasn't admiring the view. His eyes were fixed on the data feed streaming across his wrist display, a feed that had gone eerily, impossibly silent. "Commander," came a voice behind him, hesitant but clear. It was Lieutenant Kara Monroe, the ship's communications officer. Her usually confident stride was slower tonight, her expression pale under the dim light. "I ran the diagnostics again. Twice. It's not a glitch." Hale turned, his brow furrowed. "Say it." Monroe swallowed. "We've lost all major transmissions from Seoul. Everything. Civilian comms, military traffic, relay beacons, even the lunar NAV grid. It's gone, sir. Dead air across every channel." For a long moment, Hale didn't answer. He just stared past her, as though looking for something beyond the walls of the ship. Earth's comm network was one of the most redundant systems humanity had ever built. For it all to go dark at once. Could it be a solar storm, he asked, even though he already knew the answer? Monroe shook her head. "Space weather doesn't take out hardened quantum relays, Commander. And it doesn't happen simultaneously across every band." Hale felt a cold weight settle in his chest. Something had happened. Something catastrophic. "Put the last transmission we received on the main display," he said finally, his voice low. Monroe nodded quickly, relief flashing across her face at the direct order. She tapped her wrist console, and the forward viewport flickered, overlaying the data stream. For a moment there was only static, then the image of General Marcus Raynor appeared. Hale's gut tightened. Raynor wasn't just anyone, he was the head of Earth Defense Command, a man Hale had seen twice in his life, once during officer commissioning, and once when the Horizon was launched. The general's face was smeared with soot and blood, his jaw set in grim defiance. "This is General Raynor, Priority 1 transmission to all surviving fleets and stations. If you are receiving this, listen carefully, Earth is under attack. Unknown fleet breached the Kuiper boundary 20 minutes ago. We have engaged with orbital defense, but..." A thunderous sound, distant but deafening, cut him off. The general flinched, his image jarring as though the camera had been struck. "They're not here to negotiate. They're..." The feed cut to static. The deck was silent. Every crew member who had gathered to watch stared at the frozen screen, faces pale in the dim red light. Even the background hum of the ship seemed muted. "How long ago?" Hale asked, his voice steady. Monroe's fingers trembled slightly as she checked the timestamp. 12 minutes, 40 seconds ago. 12 minutes. Which meant whatever had breached the Kuiper boundary had likely reached Earth by now. The thought twisted in Hale's gut. He turned sharply, his voice snapping through the air like a whip. "Bridge, sound general quarters. I want a full tactical briefing in 5 minutes. Bring the ship to readiness condition 1. The order rippled through the horizon. Klaxons wailed, red emergency strobes flashing across every corridor. The quiet observation deck transformed into a flurry of motion as crews scrambled to stations. Chief Engineer Michael Torres appeared at Hale's shoulder, his uniform jacket half-zipped. "Sir, if this is a system-wide outage, we're flying blind." "Then we open our eyes," Hale said. "Get the sensor array running at full burn. I want a scan of every cubic kilometer between us and Seoul." Torres hesitated, then nodded sharply and sprinted for the nearest lift. Monroe lingered. "Sir," her voice was softer now, almost fragile. "You think they've taken Earth?" Hale met her eyes. There was no sense lying. I think someone just crossed the one line every species in the galaxy knows not to cross. And they did it fast enough to silence the entire planet in under half an hour. A muscle in Monroe's jaw twitched. Then what do we do? Hale's expression hardened. We get answers. And then we make sure whoever did this understands what it means to wake up a planet like ours. He turned toward the lift, his boots striking hard against the deck. The crew followed without hesitation. As Hale stepped onto the bridge, the great black void filled the viewport ahead. For the first time in his career, it didn't look like possibility. It looked like an open grave. "Helm," he ordered, his voice cutting through the tension, "plot a course for Sol at maximum FTL. We go in quiet, full sensor sweep on approach. I want to know what's waiting for us before we drop back to real space." "Aye, sir." The Horizon's engines rumbled, deep and resonant. Hale felt the vibration through the deck as the ship turned, aligning with the invisible line pointing home. In that moment, Hale thought of Earth, of the cities still glowing under their own lights, of oceans that glittered with sunlight, of people who went about their lives never expecting the sky to fall. And he thought of the message General Rayner had tried to deliver before the feed cut. "Not here to negotiate." The words echoed in his head like a war drum. As the stars stretched into white lines and the ship leapt into FTL, Hale closed his eyes for a fraction of a second. Somewhere, he knew, someone had lit a fire they couldn't put out. And now, humanity's answer was coming. The USS Horizon came out of FTL with a jolt that rippled through every deck. Stars snapped back into clarity, the familiar constellation of Sol's neighborhood filling the forward viewport. "FTL transition complete," reported helmsman Jacob Vance, his voice steady but tight. "We're 2 light hours out from Earth's orbit." The bridge crew was silent, everyone's eyes locked on their displays. For a long moment, no one spoke, as though afraid of what they might see. "Bring up long-range visuals," Hale ordered. The viewport darkened, then flared to life as the Horizon sensor array pieced together a composite feed of the Sol system. The image that appeared hit like a punch to the gut. Earth hung in the void, but it was no longer the shining blue jewel that Hale had grown up seeing on recruitment posters. Smoke veiled entire continents. The once bright curve of city lights was now patchwork, whole regions had gone dark, their power grids reduced to silence. And worse, fires. Planet-sized scars of orange and red burned across the surface like infected wounds. "My God," whispered Chief Engineer Torres from the sensor pit. "They hit everywhere. Every major population center." The moon came into view next, and Hale felt his chest tighten. The familiar gray sphere was fractured, a deep, jagged scar splitting across its surface like a wound. Vast plumes of dust floated into space, forming an eerie halo. "Confirmed data," said Monroe, her voice shaking as she read her console. "Multiple kinetic strikes detected, direct hits on Tycho, Copernicus, and Shackleton colonies. Orbital traffic, minimal. We're picking up debris fields, but no active signals from the defense grid. No signals." That meant the orbital platforms, some of the most advanced weapons ever constructed by humankind, had been destroyed. "Run a sweep for surviving transponders," Hale ordered, forcing his voice to stay level. "Civilian, military, anything." "Aye, sir." The Horizon's AI went to work, silent and clinical, scouring the system for life. One by one, faint pings began to appear on the tactical map, a handful of crippled ships limping near the asteroid belt, a colony transport broadcasting a distress signal near Ganymede, a single battered destroyer drifting near Venus with minimal power. Hale exhaled slowly. At least some had survived. Then Monroe stiffened. "Sir, we're getting an automated transmission. It's on all bands, quantum, analog, even old-world RF. It's coming from everywhere. Multiple repeating stations. Put it on." The speakers crackled to life, filling the bridge with a voice that was deep, deliberate, and impossibly calm. "To those who cross the line, you have brought fire to our home. You have slaughtered without provocation. Know this, we are not broken. We are not gone. And we are coming for you. This is Earth's last transmission. This is our vow, you will pay the price of crossing the boundary. The message repeated once, then faded into silence. No one on the bridge spoke. Torres leaned back slowly in his chair. That was broadcast from Earth? Yes, Monroe said. Her voice was steadier now, hard-edged. Multiple relays, someone set it to run on a planetary cycle. It's going to keep repeating until every corner of the system hears it. Hale didn't speak right away. He stared at the burning Earth, jaw set like iron. Something inside him, something deep, clicked into place. Commander, said Monroe, almost reluctantly. If the enemy's still here. They're still here, Hale said. As if summoned by the words, the tactical feed flared. Enemy fleet signatures appeared across the display, converging near Mars' orbit. Sleek, obsidian-black constructs filled the grid, dozens of them. Some moved with mechanical precision, escorting massive hauler-like vessels that were towing wreckage. Others drifted like predators circling wounded prey, scanning debris for survivors. Hale's fists clenched at his sides. They weren't just killing. They were cleaning up. They're stripping the system, Torres said grimly. Taking tech, resources, maybe prisoners. They won't get the horizon, Hale said flatly. Helm, bring us about. Weapons to full power. I want every railgun charged and missile bays primed. Sir, Vance said carefully, we're outnumbered 10-1. They'll tear us apart if we charge them head-on. Hale turned, meeting his gaze with a look that froze the words in his throat. Then we make the first shot count. For every man, woman, and child down there, for every scream that didn't get heard, we make them bleed. A quiet murmur rippled through the bridge. Fear hadn't vanished, but it had turned into something sharper, something hotter. Rage. Monroe's voice hardened. Targeting sensors online. I can isolate their command vessel. Do it. Hale watched the tactical map as the AI highlighted one of the larger ships near Mars, a behemoth with heavy shielding and a unique energy signature. Command ship, no question. We've got one shot before they know we're here, Torres warned. Once we fire, every ship out there will converge on us. Good, Hale said, his tone like steel. Let them come. The Horizon's engines roared, the deck plates trembling as the ship accelerated into the darkness. Crew members strapped into their stations, the air filled with the rising whine of charging weapons capacitors. Hale moved to stand behind Monroe, his hands gripping the back of her chair. His reflection in the viewport stared back at him, hard, tired, but unyielding. This is for them, he said quietly, almost to himself. The crew heard him anyway. And in that moment, every last one of them understood, this was no longer just a patrol ship. No longer just a mission. This was vengeance. The USS Horizon knifed through the void like a predator, its engines flaring blue as it closed the distance to Mars' orbit. The enemy fleet hung ahead of them, scattered among the skeletal remains of human ships, their black hulls glinting like shards of obsidian in the pale sunlight. Range to target, 100,000 kilometers, Monroe reported, her voice clipped. Railguns locked. Missile tubes 1 through 6 ready. Helm, bring us into attack vector Delta 2, Hale ordered, his tone low and calm, the calm before the storm. The bridge crew moved with precision, every motion fueled by the same grim purpose. No one spoke unnecessarily. No one asked if they were ready. They all were. Firing solution achieved, Monroe confirmed. Hale stared at the highlighted icon on the tactical display, the enemy command ship. The thing looked like a blade forged from darkness, its hull alive with eerie pulses of violet light. Fire all railguns, he said. One volley. Make it clean. The horizon shuddered as 6 massive slugs launched at near relativistic speed, streaking through the void. Seconds later, the enemy command ship blossomed with fire, its shields buckling under the kinetic impact. 2 of the rounds punched through entirely, venting burning plasma and shattered armor into space. The silence of space didn't carry sound, but in Hale's mind, he could hear the scream of tearing metal. They felt that, Torres said grimly. They're turning, Monroe warned. Multiple signatures, they're converging on us. Good, Hale growled. Load missiles. Give them a taste of Earth's fury. The first wave of enemy fire came in hard and fast, searing lances of energy that carved through the void, missing the horizon by kilometers. The ship jolted violently as a near miss vaporized a section of debris off their port side. Forward shields down to 70%. Torres called. Helm, evasive pattern gamma, Hale snapped. Keep us between their heavy guns. We're faster, make them chase us. The horizon danced through the wreckage field, thrusters firing in rapid bursts, rolling and twisting as railgun fire and plasma beams lit up the darkness. Each near miss turned more debris into glowing shrapnel. Missiles away! Monroe shouted. 6 white-hot streaks of light burst from the horizon's launch bays, arcing toward the enemy formation. 2 were intercepted, detonating in blinding flashes, but 4 found their marks, tearing through a pair of enemy frigates. The explosions painted space with fire, fragments of blackened hull spinning off into the void. The bridge erupted with grim cheers. But the enemy wasn't slowing down. New contacts. Torres barked. 5 more ships dropping out of FTL reinforcements. Hale's jaw tightened. We hold this line. We make them pay for every meter. The next wave hit them hard. Energy fire slammed into the horizon's shields, making the deck plates hum and vibrate. One blast got through, scorching a trail across the starboard hull and sending a spray of sparks across the engineering console. Starboard armor breach, decks 9 through 12. Torres shouted. Damage control is sealing bulkheads. Keep us fighting, Hale ordered. We don't back down. He moved to stand behind Vance at the helm. Take us under that wreck, he said, pointing at the drifting hulk of a destroyed carrier. Vance's hands flew over the controls. The horizon dove beneath the massive carcass of the ship, using it as cover just as another volley of enemy fire lanced toward them. The beams struck the wreck instead, slicing it in half. The horizon darted through the spinning debris, emerging on the far side with railguns already charging. Return fire! Hale barked. The railguns thundered again, this time tearing through a smaller destroyer. The enemy ship split open like an egg, its reactor going critical. The explosion engulfed 2 nearby fighters in a storm of white light. But they were still coming. Shields are gone. Torres shouted over the noise of klaxons. We're running on bare hull. Then we make this count, Hale said, his voice iron. Target the command ship again. Plasma lance this time. Monroe hesitated. Sir, that's experimental. We fire it now, we may lose half our power grid. Do it, Hale ordered. The horizon's main reactor howled as energy was rerouted. The ship's nose glowed bright blue, then erupted in a searing beam of plasma, a spear of concentrated starfire. It struck the enemy command ship dead center, burning through its shields and carving straight through its midsection. The ship exploded in a brilliant, silent supernova, fragments spinning out in all directions. On the tactical screen, enemy formations faltered. They're breaking off! Monroe cried. They're retreating! One by one, the Obsidian ships began to pull back, forming a loose defensive line before vanishing into FTL one after another. The bridge went quiet. The only sound was the faint crackle of damaged systems and the hiss of the air scrubbers working overtime. They're gone, Torres said softly. Hale stood very still, his gaze fixed on the empty void where the enemy had been. He didn't feel victory. Not yet. Let them run, he said finally. They need to carry the message home. The surviving crew sat in silence as the horizon drifted among the burning wreckage. Outside the viewport, Earth still burned. Sir, Monroe said quietly. We've taken heavy damage. If more of them come back. They won't, Hale said. Not tonight. He turned toward her. Transmit to all surviving ships, all stations. Message follows. Monroe nodded, fingers ready. Hale's voice was calm, but it carried the weight of a vow. Earth has fallen, but her people are not finished. This is our line. Our boundary. And to those who crossed it, we are coming for you. We will find you. And we will make you pay. The message was sent, scattering across the Sol system and beyond. Hale stood in silence as the viewport reflected the glow of Earth's fires across his face. This wasn't the end. This was the beginning. And somewhere, he knew, the ones who had struck first were already hearing humanity's answer.